Good afternoon. At this time, we'll begin the public briefing for Tropical Storm Nicholas. My name is Brian Beam. I'm Parish Administrator. Today is Monday, September 13th. Of course, everybody has been following this. And what we're dealing with in this situation, you've heard this a lot. Each emergency event is different. Hurricanes, floods. In this case, it's a tropical storm, which is not to be taken lightly. It will be primarily a rain event. We'll hear more from Mr. Grimion in a minute on that. But we're going to start today first with taking things in order of what has happened. We're going to ask Police Jury President Brian Abshire to come forward to mention our official status under the declaration of emergency and give a few words. Brian?
Thank you. Earlier today, I issued a proclamation of a state of emergency ahead of Tropical Storm Nicholas following the governor's action. In just a little while, you're going to hear from Dick Grimion, Director of OEP, and also Sheriff Tony Mancuso. I know you don't want to be hearing from us right now about another weather event as just as much as I don't want to be here talking to you about it. But I beg everyone, please heed the words of Sheriff Mancuso and Director Grimion. We're hoping these precautions that we're taking are not necessary, but we don't know what Tropical Storm Nicholas will bring, and so we just ask everyone to stay diligent and do everything they can to stay safe. Thank you. And up next is Director Dick Grimion with the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness.
Thank you, Mr. Abshire. As Brian mentioned, even though this is a tropical storm, it's not something that we should take lightly. It's primarily going to be a rain event, but there could be some other factors involved. I'm going to go over the threats, and then we'll talk a little bit about that. The primary threat here is rain. A slow-moving tropical system is a great rain producer. They're calling right now for tomorrow 5 to 10 inches. With some areas of locally heavy rain, that could be up to 10 to 15 inches. And if you'll recall what happened in May with the floods then, that was rain in that order. So it's not something to be taken lightly, and it's not just a rainstorm. It's more than that. The good news is there's not much wind that's going to cause damage to power lines or anything like that. So that is a good part of it. This system will produce some storm surge. They're thinking 2 to 4 feet in some areas. That should not affect too much in southwest Louisiana to be a point of danger. River flooding could happen later in the week. Depends on how much rain we get. We're thinking primarily on the Calcasieu River, although we are monitoring the Sabine River as well. If they have a lot of rain in North Texas to go into Toledo Bend, that could affect the Sabine River. And last thing I want to mention is driving in water. And I think the sheriff is going to cover this as well, but every time we have a flood, we have numerous people who think they can drive through flood water, and they get out there and they endanger themselves for one thing, but then they ruin their car also. So we advise people tomorrow would be a good day to stay home if you don't have anything to do. We certainly don't need people out riding around just to see what's going on. We can tell you it's going to be raining, and it's going to be raining probably a lot. So just take precautions. If you have to venture out, make sure that you can see the road that you're driving on. Never drive into a situation where you can't see the bottom of the road. The best thing to do is if you get in too deep, just back up and go back the way you came from. And with that, I will turn it over to Sheriff Mancuso.
Thank you. You know, a lot goes into this from all of us, from the parish administrators and Dick and the mayors and I, of what we're going to do and what action we're going to take. And so, you know, this is one of those that we're going to prepare and we're going to plan and we're going to hope that it just doesn't come here and get this bad. But we are prepared in the event that it does. We have all of our high water vehicles ready. We've got staging areas to bring people should they need to be picked up and brought out of harm's way. We've called our high water vehicles and boat assets from Thibodaux in Lafourche Parish, where we've been for the last several weeks. We've called them back. We still have people over there working, but we've called back our high water vehicle and our assets that we may need for this event. So we are prepared for this. We have the National Guard here. They have showed up today and are ready and willing to help in that aspect. So I think we're overly prepared should we get this event. And not to scare, and that's not why we get up here, and that's not what we want to do, but we've learned in these events that we have to tell you what dangers lurk out there for you. And we have certainly we have the threat of this becoming a flooding event. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. You know, we could get sideswiped. A lot can happen over the next 24 hours. Again, each time we have a weather briefing, which will again happen at 10 o'clock tonight, we learn a little bit more and we educate ourselves a little bit more and we plan a little bit more depending on the outcomes of those. So all we can do for you, the public, right now is to tell you that, look, we have certainly a threat of a lot of rain. A lot coming down quickly, and if that happens, you need to be prepared to take action also. That means either sheltering in place and not getting out, not putting yourself and exposing yourself to the dangers that happen out there, and then calling us, call 911, and if you feel uncomfortable and you feel unsafe and that you need to be picked up, we're going to come get you. We have staging areas to bring people and then to get you to safety until a family member or friend can come get you. We're prepared for all that. You have to do your part. Schools are closed tomorrow. I know that most of your public buildings and facilities are going to be closed, but your law enforcement, your fire, those protection agencies are going to be here for you, and we're going to come get you should that happen. A couple things that I want to stress that really hamper us is when people just go out and look and try to see what's going on, you put yourself in danger, you put the men and women that are in uniform, whether it be fire or police, you put them in danger. So, you know, if you don't have to get out tomorrow, then don't. And even if it looks like in the morning, you know, it's good. This can come upon us pretty quick. These bands that they're talking about that can come through, and again, it depends whether this shifts a little left, a little right, what happens. We don't really know what's going to happen, but we know that the possibility is there for some severe flooding, and we want you to be prepared. So I think common sense has to come into play now at this point. We've been through it enough times now. You know, when you go out and you start driving around, people have water that's inches from getting into their houses, and then we got people that are just driving around to see what the water looks like and how high it is. Stay at home. Don't put this extra stress on those people in those neighborhoods that are prone to flooding, and don't put us having to go get you when you flood out and get stranded. So use common sense and think about what you're doing and how you can affect other people and harm other people. I think that's it. Be safe out there. If you have questions, if the media has questions for me or for Dick or for one of the other public officials that are here, we're ready to answer questions at this time. Yes, sir.
You said that you do have people like law enforcement on standby to help if people get stranded at their homes. I know you kind of mentioned that already. Repeat the question.
Okay, I think the question is, do we have people prepared to go get people in their homes if we need? Yes, we have people staged throughout the parish. You know, this is the kind of rain event, the whole sector, our whole parish is under the gun for this one. We may see areas in our parish that get, you know, 1 to 2 inches of rain over the next 24 hours. We may get one area that gets 10 to 15 in a short period of time. We just don't know that. Again, we go by our weather briefings and what could take place. Doesn't mean that's what's going to take place. You know, we get 8 inches over the next 24 to 48 hours. We can probably handle that. It's whether we get And the models show that the possibility is there for an isolated area. Anywhere in Calcasieu Parish could get, 10 to 15 inches. So we have to prepare for that. So we have vehicles and manpower and boats in each of the area of our parish. There's not anywhere that we don't have somebody ready to respond. And then, of course, we have the National Guard here that has, I want to say, almost 100 people and their vehicles also. So we're prepared for this. It doesn't, again, I'm hoping that we sit all day long tomorrow and do nothing. That's what I hope happens. I hope we're prepared and we have everything staged and we sit there and do absolutely nothing tomorrow. That's what I want to happen. But we are ready in the event that happens, yes, in anywhere of the parish. So, any other questions or? All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Tony. This one's a little briefer because it's a little more straightforward. But until we see the results of the actual impact here, there's not a whole lot to communicate. That certainly could change. If so, we will. But at this time, we do not have another public briefing scheduled. As early as tonight, actually, certainly into tomorrow and probably part of Wednesday, all of the public agencies involved will be in response mode. So it's really more of letting that go through, and then depending on the impact, as the sheriff mentioned, we'll be responding and communicating regularly once that happens. In the meantime, certainly any information that the public needs or the members of the media through either Mr. Grimion at OEP or directly to the sheriff's office or any of the city's representatives. Thank you for your time.